I saw the guard towers and rolls of razor wire for a brief moment as the van pulled into an open garage. The darkness immediately blanketed us. The garage door slowly rolled shut behind us. Co Malone jumped up. "Let's get you boys inside so I can take off your handcuffs and everything," he said, motioning for us to follow. He pulled out a flashlight from his belt, guiding us through the pitch black. The dim light sent shadows racing across the room like groping tentacles. I caught glimpses of strange objects in the darkness. They looked like medieval torture devices. "What is this place?" I whispered. My voice echoed far too loudly off the cold concrete floor and walls. "Those look like torture devices on that table, Co Malone. I think those bloody things are thumbscrews, and that might be a pair of anguish." I pointed to the pear-shaped object with 3 wicked blades whose points came together sitting on a dusty shelf. The ornate handle had springs connected to it. The object could be forced into any human orifice, and when the springs were engaged, it would open like a flower inside the person's body, ripping their flesh apart and enlarging that orifice to a bloody, gaping hole. "How do you know so much about this?" Co Malone asked, giving me a strange look. He narrowed his little piggy eyes. He continued to fumble with the flashlight, peering around for a door to exit the garage. I looked back at the car and saw the driver just sitting there, his entire body as lifeless and still as a mannequin. "I've read a few books," I said as Jamal interrupted us. "I see a little red light glowing under that door," Jamal said. Co Malone focused his flashlight on the spot. Across the room, I noticed what Jamal was pointing at. It was an ancient-looking black door. The wood had started to crack and splinter down the middle. Engraved in silver on the front, it said, "Entrance to Northfrost Penitentiary." "Hello?" Co Malone called toward the door as the 3 of us moved forward, the steel chains giving my steps a clinking rhythm. Co Malone reached the antique crystal doorknob. Jamal and I stood next to a dust-covered brazen bull, its bronze mouth wide open as if it were silently roaring at us. As Co Malone pulled open the door, crimson light flooded into the garage. Tinted black glass covered the back wall. A speaker button sat next to the window. I looked to my right, seeing a massive sign sprawled across the wall there. It read, "Rules for Personal Conduct at Northfrost. The COs without faces don't work here, and we don't know who they are. If you see one, press one of the buttons labeled Emergency Dispatch that are scattered around the complex. When the red emergency lights come on, hide until they shut off. Do not go into the medical ward for any reason. The warden roams the prison every night at 3:33 a.m. looking for human meat. Don't let him catch you." "What is this, a goddamn joke?" Jamal asked, his dark face forming into a scowl. Well, Co Malone rubbed the back of his neck, looking like an obese little boy who lost his parents. "I've never been here before, but this is all pretty unusual, I'll admit." A buzzing came from the back of the room, and suddenly a garish, echoing intercom turned on.
"Please remove their chains and direct them through the door on the left,"
a female robotic voice said calmly in a tone as cool as lemonade on a hot day.
"Your transfer will then be complete."
Co Malone sighed in relief. "Good," he grunted. "This place gives me the creeps." "Bro, you can't leave us here," Jamal protested. "What the fuck is this place? Where is everyone? Why is there a room filled with bloody, ancient torture devices next to the garage?" Co Malone put up his hands. "I'm sorry, son, but I have orders. I'm just a messenger here. I was told to transfer you here, and that's what I've done." He fumbled around his belt for his keyring. He came over and unlocked the handcuffs and ankle cuffs from both of us. I stretched, rubbing my wrists. I was glad to be out of those suffocating restraints. "Thanks for everything, then," I said, picking up my extremely light garbage bag of possessions and heading for the door on the left. Jamal reluctantly followed behind. A sign on this door read, "To general population." But when we got to the other side and it slammed shut behind us, I found a hallway filled with more red emergency lights streaming down. An involuntary shiver ran down through my body. I remembered those absurd rules someone had put up. What had it said about red lights? My mind raced for a few moments. Then the answer popped up. It said to hide. A man shrieked up ahead, his voice riddled with agony and terror. The hallway split to the right and left, and I couldn't see anyone. Jamal and I stopped. "Dude, screw this," Jamal said, turning and running back toward the door we had come through. He tried pulling it open, but it was firmly locked. The scream came again, louder and closer, but this time it was cut off suddenly. I heard someone gurgling like a man with a slit throat trying to breathe, and then everything went deathly silent again. The gray, concrete floor of the hallway had arrows pointing forward on it. There were no doors here. There was nowhere to hide that I could see. Jamal and I reluctantly went forward. As we got to the intersection, we saw the dead body of a man in a brown khaki uniform. His sightless eyes remained open. They stared up at the ceiling, glassy and still filled with horror. Deep gouge marks bit deeply into the flesh on his back and arms and chest. His throat had been cut or bit open as well. A spreading puddle of blood encircled his body. Nathan saw a dark blur at the end of the hallway on the right. It looked like little more than a shadow. He whispered to Jamal and Co Malone, pointing. They decided to go left immediately. Nathan's heart was pounding at this point. He felt like a soldier walking through the no man's land of a war zone. He expected the attack to come at any moment. The hallway to the left had some doors. Nathan sprinted forward as quietly as he could with Jamal close by his side and Co Malone shadowing them. He read the first door. To medical ward. No, Nathan whispered, going to the second one. He heard light footsteps behind him. Turning, he saw a creature from a nightmare sneaking up on them in the bloody glow of the emergency lights. Its skin was black and shiny like that of a centipede's. In its general form, it reminded Nathan of a hairless werewolf. It towered over them, its eyes like bone-white cataracts, its claws as long and sharp as a dagger. And yet, its face seemed almost reptilian. It had two small nose holes like a snake, and a jaw that unhinged and dropped far below its head. Nathan saw rows of blood-soaked fangs. It gave off a low, gurgling growl that emanated from its chest. Jamal raised his fists. Co Malone hissed, "Hide, now!" And Nathan froze, his mind racing for a plan.